It is a beautiful April evening, and I thought we would just talk about this spring while I just go to the pond and get some water for the ewes. So I've got farming in my blood. I've been growing plants, flowers, vegetables for over 20 years, and the past 3.5 to 4 years I worked on an open farm as a livestock manager, so I've got the experience. But man oh man, moving here, starting my own farm, running with the ups and downs of what can happen, it has been like I've never done anything to do with animals or vegetables before. And I mean, there has been a lot of ups. So many positive things have happened. We are out of our COVID lockdown, and the chickens are out of their avian flu lockdown, which they and I couldn't be happier about. The goat numbers increased from 5 to 9, and I'm not even really a goat person. And our silkies are laying like crazy now. I increased the sheep flock not only with this and this lovely Jacob ewe and a Jacob ram, but also with the first lammies of the farm. Rare breed, Norfolk Horns, a boy and a girl, both of which will be keeping on site and using those genetics in future rare breed lines to help establish and bring this breed back from the brink. And we have Pepper and her adopted chicks. And these are all baby Ixworth. We've grown the pheasantry with our golden pheasants. We've got our 2 previous lots of Reeves pheasants. And then down in this aviary, we have a grey peacock pheasant. And apart from the grey peacock pheasant, they are all laying fertile hatching eggs now. And from my 2 does, who are expecting to have 4 or 5 each, we ended up with 23. So these are all bucks. 4 bucks in there, and I've got another little rabbit tractor over there, another 4 bucks in, and we're getting them ready to eat grass. Look what I've just found. A brand new emerged cabbage white butterfly. Now everything in me says I should probably kill it because it's going to go and mate and then come and lay eggs all over my vegetables. But it's the first one I have seen this year, and I can't bring myself to it. So I'll let it flutter off, and then I'll curse about it in about 2 months' time when my kale and cabbages are covered in caterpillars. But along with those positives, wow, there have been some negatives and some extremely steep learning curves. And it's just gone to show that you could be a farmer for years. You could have grown vegetables for years, and things that you never think would happen come along. And I have to say, farm livestock wise, it's been pretty good. I lost 1 ewe early on. She got trapped in that netting, which is why I never use that stock netting anymore and leave it on. I do use it when I'm here, just for the rams, but as soon as I'm gone off site, or even if I'm intending on going to the other side of the farm for an hour or so, I turn it off. But the silver lining in her death was that we got Connie, my friends bought me Connie, and we've got lambs from her. The Ixworth have been a bit of a pain in terms of laying hatching eggs. But on the livestock front, it's been pretty plain sailing. On the growing front, however, an entire different matter. And really and truly, and this is why British people talk about it a lot, it's been down to the weather. It has been windy as hell, so we've obviously moved to this brand new site, so I didn't know how windy it was going to be. Turns out it's really, really windy. So things have blown away, the polytunnel blew away, and that's been crazy. And also trying to do stuff up here when it's windy is just really deflating. Then we had the worst snow I've probably ever seen here. I mean, again, because it was so windy, the snow drifts were 4 or 5 feet. So that was a pain. And on top of all of that, though you wouldn't think it because of the snow, we've had the second worst drought since 1938 for April. We have literally had no rain. And so, although you see all this grass, it's because it's never been grazed. Even some of this grass is now starting to go to flower already because it's so stretched for moisture. It's just going, we need to seed ourselves. And then trying to get the farmer's market, the market garden sorted has been an absolute nightmare. And you might say, well, you just must be going through loads of water and having sprinklers on. The problem is, we don't have any piped water here. Until we have an official address here, which is still going through the process, no utility companies will install utilities here. So I collected loads of rainwater in IBCs over the winter. It's all run out. You saw me collecting from the pond. That's what it's come down to now for a lot of the water for the animals' needs and for the market garden is relying on these ponds, which I don't want to rely on too much because last year they dried up. We do bring up bottles of water, so at the moment I come up 3 or 4 times a day just because I'm ferrying bottles of water. And when I say bottles, I mean like big IKEA bags full of old Coke bottles, just filled with water. So I think I'm bringing up about 30 litres each time. So over the course of the day, I probably bring up over 100 litres. But we go through it so quickly. And so this lack of water has had a major impact upon the market garden. By now, I would have liked to have got all my vegetable beds, which are here, out and done. Here is my compost pile, and I just need to dig it up and move it over. The problem is I really don't want to do that because as soon as I put down those few inches of compost, they dry out instantly and they just become dusty. So until we've had some rain, I don't really want to do any more no-dig beds because what I want to do is I want it for it to rain. I want to take this compost and shove it on top of that wet grass immediately to lock in that moisture and then do the compost. It does look like it could rain in the next couple of weeks, so that's what I'm hoping. The ranunculus, we ain't going to get a crop from the ranunculus. I mean, there have been issues all the way along. Some rotted because it was too wet. Then the polytunnel blew away and they got too cold. Then they started coming through and the muntjac came through and nibbled them all off. And now they're in the ground, but they look awful. They look feeble. There are some buds which will just satisfy us. I've started getting cornflowers out and I've started putting the first straw flowers out. But the problem here is there's no water, there's no rain, and it's a bit of a drought and it's really warm in the days. But the evenings, until a couple of days ago, were still getting down to freezing. So you couldn't even plant anything out. I am erring on the side of caution and I'm putting half of my crops out. So this is just, I think this is just 40 straw flowers. I have another 80 at home, which I'm not putting out quite yet. But it's getting to the point now, we're almost in May, where stuff has to go into the garden. And this is where I have to say a massive thank you and shout out to all of you, because it's been your comments and your support and your ideas and bits of inspiration that really have kept me going through a time when I could have wanted just to throw it all in and hold my hands up and just go, this is the worst spring in history. I'm just going to forget it all. But then I realised there is a flip to all these things going wrong. And that is, this first year was never supposed to be a massive moneymaker. We weren't counting on this year doing all the right things. This was a test year. So it would have been far worse if I had, say with those ranunculus, I had counted on selling those ranunculus for my first income flower crop of the year, and they'd all failed. It doesn't matter that they failed. Whereas I would be tearing my hair out if actually I'd really needed the bit of income from that. So flipping it around, yes, we've had the worst snow ever. We've had the worst drought. It's really cold at night and it's really hot in the day and there's no rain. But it's a test year, so we can learn from this, and then by next year we can put things in place. So by next year we know this is a really windy site, we need to tie things down. We know this site may be really dry, we need to build more swales, more rainwater collecting sort of ditches and things. We need to get some water piped up here. So amongst the chaos, there is a silver lining and light at the end of the farming tunnel.